Makhdoom Sahab?
Yes, sir.
Some of them, most of them were based on these ordinances.
My lord, he says
The rest that I've gone through are based on judgments rendered either by the High Courts or the Supreme Court.
Yes, and I had filed.
And that was, you see, to secure the fundamental rights of people who were being wronged.
And I had filed a chart, my lord, to show which amendment corresponded to the recommendations and directions of this honorable court. I had also, and so far as your lordship's other observation is concerned, your lordship is right, but he himself says that the government has retained these amendments. He is not saying, with subtle changes of expression.
It says that section 1, subsection 2, it shall come into force at once.
Yes.
It is not retrospectively.
Yes. The two, yes, my lord, and to the two ordinances which my lord the Chief Justice was referring to, they are on page 210.
You said 5.
Sir, the total are 5, but the two which your lordship pointed out, they are at page 210, which is ordinance number 23.
210?
And the other one which you
26 or 29th, है ना?
23 is sir.
23 and 26. Sir.
23, and the 26, my lord, is on page 222. And if your lordship will see on page 23, my lord, Mr. Mandukhel, this was given retrospective effect, but a different date in section 1, subsection 2, shall be deemed to have taken effect on and from the 6th day of October 2021. So they backdate this one slightly. So they're not.
Your argument is you were on the same page.
Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord.
You were on the same page.
And my further submission is that this pleading was not inadvertent, because when the court gave them permission to file an amended petition, almost a few months down the road, they filed an amended petition in which they reproduced this paragraph verbatim.
Okay, now can you just run through all the ordinances that were done? We have one at due in seriatim order. The ordinances.
The ordinances, my lord, yes.
You referred to 2, but you said there are more.
Yes, my lord.
So can we go in chronological order?
Yes, my lord.
Time or later?
Yes, my lord. The National Accountability Amendment.
Page bataiye.
My lord, page 200.
This is the first one.
Yes, my lord. First
we
one.
call it the first amendment?
Yes, my lord.
Okay, this is the first. Second one, kahan hai?
My lord, the second one is at page 202.
This is the second. Okay, now where's the third?
My lord, the third one is at page 210.
Third. Take fourth.
Sorry, 206, my lord. The 206 to 207.
206 is the third.
Yes, my lord. 206 to 207.
Take.
The fourth is 210 to 221.
This is the fourth.
Yes,
right.
And the fifth, my lord, is 30th, that is page 222 to 225.
Madhum sahab, 208 पे भी है, 20 of 21.
Yes, my lord.
नहीं, वो act है. Act.
Gee, that became an act, my lord.
वो act.
There's only one of these ordinances became an act.
So there are 5 ordinances.
Yes, my lord.
Can you read the provision on ordinances in the Constitution?
Article 89, my lord.
I mean, is it something the president should do on the spur of the moment, or after careful consideration, or it's silent?
My lord, the president accept.
Article क्या पढ़ रहे हैं?
Article 89. The president may, except when the Senate or National Assembly is in session, if satisfied that circumstances exist which render it necessary to take immediate action.
If satisfied
that circumstances exist which render it necessary to take immediate action, make and promulgate an ordinance.
Are these words of any consequence or not?
My lord, I would say that they are.
No, because the way the ordinances are churned out sometimes,
yes,
it seems it is not in conformity with the constitutional provision, which
yes,
says if satisfied, and then the president should mention these are the circumstances where I must legislate now, though I have no legislative power. The legislative power vests in the Senate and the National Assembly. We have to do it today because of this reason. But I see ordinances which just do it as a matter of right. That is my inherent God-given right to do so. I've always wondered why they're not reading the language of the Constitution.
Your Lordship is absolutely...
I mean, I may be wrong, so I just
No, Your Lordship is absolutely right. Almost every government has ignored the provisions of Article 89. They wait for the National Assembly to go out of
that's one
session.
condition. Now, there may be something, I don't know, the government may need money, or they may need, I don't know, there can be genuine emergencies where you can't convene the National Assembly. So that is one condition. The other condition is his personal satisfaction. Okay, we leave that aside. The third one is the important one, which is circumstances
which render it necessary to take immediate action.
Now, this is something which should not be discarded.
In the context of these ordinances, the explanation that given was that there is an urgency because the bureaucracy are, you see, the victims of abuse of NAB. So abuse of NAB even was acknowledged as a ground to bring about these changes. So, most of the amendments that were challenged were part of these ordinances.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were, my lord. And that was my submission, that this is why it is an extraordinary case in common law constitutional history that a person who has enacted the legislation when no longer in power was challenging that legislation before the Supreme Court. And therefore, one, your lordships can look at the antecedents of the petitioner in these circumstances, and second, he had no locus standi to do that.
Even the president was satisfied from that ordinance. That's why it was promulgated.
My lord, your lordship will see that when...
Does the court have to issue him notice? The then president, and ask him whether he was satisfied?
My lord,
where did he record his satisfaction?
My lord, he did not...
Can we see the ordinances? What are the shape of the ordinances?
My lord, may I point out that...
Where it is it expedient? The president is satisfied that circumstances exist which render it necessary to take immediate action. So he just verbatim reproduce the language without saying what are these circumstances.
And it's the same everywhere.
Makhdoom Saab,
my lord,
I think by now it is absolutely clear that NAB has always been used from its inception for political engineering. And it had extensively abused its powers. Now, even then government knew that. And that is why they wanted to bring about some changes to protect the bureaucracy. So, and all that they left were the elected representatives who were the victims. No one can compensate them for the irreparable damage that has been caused to them. Most of them, you see, were, with great respect. And now there's a plethora of evidence for that. How, you see, they were imprisoned, how they were humiliated, and ultimately they found out that there was nothing against them. So, it's a law. I don't know whether in the first place should be there or not. But these ordinances, even they were compelled to issue these ordinances.
Yes, my lord. And that was the justification given in the public domain.
Mr. Makhdoom Ali Khan, I would say, that's speculation. The language doesn't say that I'm doing it for this purpose. So let's stick to the language, but the president has to at least say, but this circumstance is immediate. Whatever we are going now to intent, it's malafide or bona fide, but on the face of it, he's not stating what is necessary to take immediate action. That this is the reason why I'm doing it.
This was for the government to place before the president that these were the circumstances on the basis of which we are proposing the ordinance, and if the president is satisfied, then the ordinance has to be accepted.
My lord, I am not.
And one thing more, whether the respondent is behind the bar, whether under any provision of the NAB ordinance, he is also facing the miseries of that ordinance.
Yes, my lord. Yes, that's correct. So,
Makhdoom Sahab, is there any data which would show the damage caused by NAB to the economy, to the freedoms of the individuals, and by violating their fundamental rights? I think by now there must be a lot of data.
my lord, there are some judgments of this honorable court. There were a couple of reports which were also placed.
Are you now arguing that the entire NAB ordinance is illegal?
No, my lord, my submission.
No, if you are saying this, then I assume you're saying
my submission at that time was.
No, Abhi.
अभी नहीं, अभी भी सर ये है
आप सिर्फ एक ब्रिगेडियर असद मुनीर का सुसाइड नोट देख लीजिए. That is sufficient. No one can bring back Brigadier Asad Munir.
My lord,
but he left with that. I think that should be brought on record. And I mean, I think that for NAB, speaking for myself, I don't know whether NAB is still abusing its powers or not.